I really don't know where to start here. There's so much you want to do for your future in so little time. At least for me. Whatever the case, I cannot thank you more for tuning in today. You've got no idea how long I've waited for a moment like this. My channel may not seem big, but this speech could be a vital turning point in my career and for my super special project. And I have excitement and high hopes that I'm finally getting somewhere with it. From your perspective, my viewers, a new interactive media studio will be rising starting now. So let's roll the intro and get to it. This will be your captain speaking. There's a lot that I want to address today, and as I said, I have no idea where to start. I guess I'll start with this. To fans of my end of 2023 Team Fortress 2 dubs, I am really sorry about my channel's lack of content. I have a bunch of DaVinci Resolve projects, but never really completed them due to autistic incompetence. I mentioned autism in my channel's description, but not my ADHD. Yes, I have that too. So I have AUDHD. It gives me a knack for neglecting my projects for no particular reason at all, and that's on top of other things such as my school hours and video game addiction. Now, that's not to say my AUDHD doesn't have its upsides. I think I have a really creative and wise opinion about lots of aspects of media, with things like world, theme, characters, and gameplay and difficulty. I could write a review for a game or make designs for games or film and market them to Sega, if doing so gains me their attention. So now on to my main topic. Sonic the Hedgehog, one of my favorite franchises, has been around for more than 30 years now. I think Sonic is a great idea of an iconic VG character with much potential. He's a Sonic fast anthropomorphic hedgehog implied in his name and has been much beloved by gamers since his 1991 debut. However, I do question how well the execution of this great idea was in some of his games, especially nowadays. For a refresher to those of you who aren't exactly aware of Sonic's situation, here's what I've learned so far. So we started in 1991 as a platforming game on the Genesis with a twist. You run, roll, and collect rings as fast as you can. The game was so popular that its main character, Sonic, became Sega's mascot. The franchise continued forward with its mainline and occasional spin-off games until 1998 with the release of Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, which brought 3D to Sonic as we know it. Then there was Sonic Adventure 2 in 2001, which is a big deal as you all know. 2006 had another big game simply called Sonic the Hedgehog, or Sonic 06 as we like to call it. A mixed bag if I ever saw one. But Sonic 06 was also the last time Sonic's friends would be playable in a modern Sonic game, sadly. But even more sadly, that was only due to some stupid misunderstanding of Sega, that since playable characters were bad in 06, they just ceased to do it rather than try to fix such. That was kinda lazy of Sega, but the franchise from Sonic Colors forward is kinda lazy of Sega. And I say the word kinda like I mean it. The games were still good for the most part. Sonic Frontiers wasn't terrible, but it was disappointing to me in many ways. And Sonic Prime, Sonic Prime. How am I going to say this? Prime's animation and writing and development of Sonic is the best we've ever seen in any Sonic media. Just look at Green Hill pre-Shatter. But Sega, next time you put all the effort and resources into a show, try and do it without crushing my favorite characters, please. I'm just worried for Tails and the others. Now, the only thing that comes to mind in the post-06 era of modern Sonic that really shares action with Sonic and his friends is Sonic Boom, a subsidiary of the brand taking place in an entirely separate canon that basically sucked. Sonic Boom's games, Rise of Lyric, Shattered Crystal, and Fire and Ice, all sucked, each in a different way. It also had a TV show that, while nostalgic to me, failed to be sensible in a lot of ways, and also just ended abruptly after Season 2. Not much else to say about Sonic Boom, but I really like the character designs. Even though I like Sonic very much just like other iconic characters like Ratchet & Clank, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, I find it hard to find a definitive, relaxing Sonic experience nowadays, partly because Sega seems to like taking it to the extreme for every single game, plot-wise. From the whole End thing that tried to destroy the world and Frontiers, to the reality-shattering and near-complete space-time wipeout in Prime, to now Sonic X Shadow Generations. I think the same thing is going to happen in that game that did in the first Generations, where Eggman alters time so Sonic never stood a chance against him, and all his friends get sucked into a black hole, paralyzed, and left out of the action. Probably way worse than Sonic X Shadow Generations. I don't mean to seem like I'm biased, next to big fans of these games. I do root for the underdogs, characters meant to be playable in the first place that Sega is just dismissing for no good reason. Another reason I don't like these modern Sonic games. What's more, I don't really like how they have either realistic environments with realistic human characters or massive destruction of the fabric of the universe with extreme Destiny 2-like visuals. There should be more Sonic games that have a cartoony poppy aesthetic, much like the pre-Shatter Green Hill seen in Prime, because that fits the mood of playing as these cute anthropomorphic animals with various superpowers. I'm sure at least one of you guys can agree with my critiques here in the comment section. Please do comment, by the way. It helps me out a lot about my opinions, about what action I should take to advance my career, you name it. And some of these facts brought to you by Captain Over may not be exactly accurate. Now, that being said, I also want to get into when I first played Sonic. I don't know exactly what age it began, but to the best of my knowledge, my love for him started with the Sonic Classic Collection on the DS, which contained the original Genesis trilogy of Sonic. Then I played PS2 games, Sonic Heroes, a bit of a quote-unquote lovable mess from what I heard, and Sonic Mega Collection Plus, a collection with a bunch of Genesis and Game Gear games. Yes, I had a PS2 and it's a very important part of my childhood. Now, enough said about Sonic, let's talk a little about other video games I played. It was around about then I was getting into Roblox with my sessions of Natural Disaster Survival and Prison Life, two Roblox classics. Through 1 or 2 years I followed Natural Disaster Survival, the game called Survive the Disasters, don't confuse them, and then Survive the Disasters 2, a very nostalgic game to me. STD 1 and 2 contained music from various other games. The soundtrack pop-up in 2 mentioned games completely unknown to me, like MapleStory, Undertale, as well as various Sonic games, but also, interestingly, music from Ratchet & Clank. At least the first game from 2002 on PS2 that I didn't have at the time, but Ratchet 2 and 3. And a bunch of other games I don't need to mention. What I would like to mention, though, is another game I played a lot when I was young. Ratchet & Clank 3, Up Your Arsenal. Oh, oops. It was the first Ratchet & Clank game I played, and I love the gameplay idea of upgrading your weapons as you use them. That in-game feature was fun and addictive for me at the time. Even though nowadays, knowing the game had a bit of a rush production, I still think it was a fairly decent hit. By the way, I learned a lot of this sort of stuff and some of my points from watching the Gaming Brit Show's videos, so go check out his channel. So, now, with all the stuff inspiring me, I have some designs in mind for video games that I'm excited to develop. Now, I'm a game designer, not a developer. There's a difference. I am super excited to tell my ideas to the big companies that own their respective VG mascots, most notably Sega and their franchise Sonic the Hedgehog, which isn't quite as quality in a majority of its games as it is a very massive franchise. Big community, merchandise, fan base with all the fan-made content online. I'm sort of out of words there. I think there's a bunch more about Sonic that is big. Getting off topic. I'm not saying I want as much attention as YouTube juggernauts like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, etc. All I need is an opportunity to market a project to Sega and develop it together with them, and establish myself as a genuine video game developer. Sadly, I won't be showing my project publicly because even though I can copyright not the characters but the idea, copyright doesn't save it from being stolen pretty easily, unfortunately. So that won't be happening anytime soon, at least until I know I can trust the public at large. So if anyone at Sega is watching this, tell me please. I know I'm just a random 16-year-old on the internet with no money and resources, but what will it take for me to get Sega's attention so I can work together with them like Big Red Button did? Is Sega only motivated by profit opportunities? Do I need to prove myself in a certain field like computer animation, programming, designing, critiquing, or storytelling, or even voice acting? As for programming, I may or may not be competent in that field because I have autism and attention hyperfocus deficit disorder, and I'm also addicted to video games. While these conditions give me great ideas and inspiration for video games, film, and a bunch of other stuff, and I'm as excited as I can get, for working with Sega, I thought it only fair to point out those negative aspects. I have one more question. I want to develop this project in conjunction with Sega because I'm very ambitious to make it a genuine, big-budget production rather than some Game Jolt fan game. If any of you viewers are qualified to answer, should I be worried about Sega ruining the quality of the project because they are in charge of Sonic? This is the exact reason Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric was so bad. It wasn't Big Red Button's fault, it was Sega's. For example, they ordered the game to be released on Wii U with no... They ordered the game to be released on Wii U with no idea how the CryEngine would run on it, and now people hate Big Red Button more than they deserve. No offense to you, Sega, I'm sure you're still trying your best. So yeah, considering all the stuff happening, I can question how actually smart and considerate Sega is as I wait for a response from them about my project. I don't think they're incapable, but I am kinda skeptical. And one last thing I want to announce today. As I was writing this, I was planning to make a silent animated short film adapted from Sonic. It'll show Sonic with a new gameplay concept, and I think you guys are going to really like it. If this broadcast doesn't get Sega's attention, hopefully my skills with animation and storytelling will, with this short film. I think I have the most necessary materials at my disposal. Now it's just a matter of focusing on it. Wish me luck, and if it goes well, it'll go on YouTube. If it doesn't, it will also go on YouTube under the title, "This is a Failed Animation." Alright, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'm going to wrap this up and give it to a child on Christmas, because I'm done here. Before I sign off, though, I'd like to recap the entire announcement. I apologize for not uploading anything in the last few months. I've been addicted to video games and dealing with life stuff like school, exercise, and my well-being. I mentioned autism and ADHD and how they make me procrastinate and neglect my goals, but also very creative with many things. I shared what I know about Sonic and his current situation, and that he's one of my favorite gaming icons even though I don't get where Sega is going with him. I talked a little about my nostalgic past with my PS2 and other consoles, along with a few of the games I played. I mentioned my super special project and would like to market a video game to Sega and develop it together with them. I asked some questions about how I can approach Sega or prove my worth and get their attention. Again, comment section. Finally, I mentioned I'm developing a short film that will basically reveal my project to the community and to Sega. Don't forget to share this video with as many people as possible, and don't forget to comment and maybe give me suggestions about what my next step should be, if I should, start a fundraiser or something. At least after I finish this short film, hopefully I can finally get to work on developing my project and co-produce with Sega. Also, if anyone does relate to me on the topic of autistic procrastination, feel free to tell me in the comments about that too. If, like me, it is a hindrance to you at times, I can tell you this. Nothing is impossible, okay? Do it! Just do it! One more time, thanks a lot for tuning in and partaking in this discussion. Thank you for commenting and sharing this with your friends, and I will return once I gain certainty of the release date of my short film. Have a great 2024.